Peace family, I'm 19 Keys, founder of Crownz Society, previously known as Crownz 19. I've been doing Crownz for about 7 years now, and it evolved from this idea of having a representation of universal consciousness, you understand me, in clothing and in fashion, because fashion delivers and represents the message of what we're communicating about ourselves, right? There's a saying, I was listening to Virgil Abloh, and he said, style is not something that was like found, it was invented. Style was invented, right? Like fashion as we know it and style as we know it did not always exist. You understand me? But when we go back to societies and cultures, let's say we go through Africa and the vibrant colors that they use, but they would have a representation for the things that they wore as it represented different status, right, in that tribe, right? So let's say if somebody wore a red crown, that could represent that they were married or something, just as an example's sake, right? And sometimes it represents the chieftain, right? So there's actually stooling processes in Ghana and in Africa where they actually crown you, right? And it represents that you are now connected to that land or a noble person of that land, right? And so I went on a beautiful journey of crowning people around the world, right? And I've crowned celebrities, I've crowned a queen in Africa, I've crowned multiple different people all over, and I want that instilling process to be a ritual for us in America that didn't have culture, right? And I'm not talking about just hip hop culture, but culture steeped in values and principles that really communicate ancestral lineage, right? And connectivity to our DNA and who we are. We forgot that we were kings and queens, right? We forgot that we were emperors and rulers, right? Whether it was from the Moorish brothers and they wore their crowns, right? Whether it was even in Britain and in different parts of Africa, and you have different black noble society that represented their rulership by wearing crowns. You understand me? You can find this all throughout antiquity, you understand me, in time that the crown has been a significant piece. You go through Egypt, they had the lower and upper regions of Egypt represented by different crown colors, right? So when you look at Tutankhamun, for those who don't know, he has a representation of a snake and a falcon, right? And this represents the upper and lower crown of Egypt. You understand me? And so, and then them being connected on one represents them all being under one rulership, essentially. So I think that that's beautiful, and that I think that those same codes should be back represented in our culture, right? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wore his crown, and it represents his exaltation. You understand me? As Christ living on earth, as he delivered the message to black people in America, and his message is knowledge of self, right? And he carried that crown very well, and he was completely successful in his mission. And he has a statement in his book. He said that we wear the crowns or the starry crowns, the starry crescent on our lapel and on our heads to represent our rulership in the universe. What do we wear in culture that represents that we're rulers, right? That's the question that I want to propose when you see somebody with a crown. And now it's beautiful because it's gotten to this point where I walk into a store and nobody questions my crown anymore. They're no longer like, what is that? It's implied that, oh, that must be one of those ones, right? His pronoun must be God. His pronoun must be king because of the way that he's walking. You understand me? And so I think that that's a beautiful story that we can story tell what we wear, right? We can communicate and design how we're interacted with by the rest of the world. And we can put in significant pieces, right, of representation and pass it down just simply through clothing. And I think that that's important for us to have rituals and items that represent us because it keeps the culture intact as an institution, right? And so these crowns have now become a universal messaging where if I see somebody with a crown, I know that they're tapped into education, I know they tapped into knowledge of self, I know they tap into themselves at a higher standard, right? We can all throw on a bandana, we throw it on, red rag, taught a lot of people how to gang bang. You understand me? At least some of the cultural rituals connected to gang banging, right? Wearing the fashion and the style of it. and throw on the paisley print. Then think about it, but you didn't design the paisley print. Who came up with the paisley print? You wearing somebody else's design, right? And so you have the 5-pointed star, you understand me? And really that 5-pointed star can be represented in the body, you understand me? Head, arm, leg, arm, head, you understand me? You get those 5 points of man, right? And then you have, you know, the sun and the moon and the stars, and that can represent the man, the woman, and the child, right? So you have the true trifecta there, right? And the Trinity. And then it also representation of, you know, just your higher self, tap crown chakra with intellect and enlightenment, right? And intuition and utilizing your mind, right? And representing fecundity in the mind, where the brain is constantly processing ideas, right? It represents your rulership and your astute as you walk around having knowledge of self, knowing who you are, right? We don't come from the sun. We don't come from the moon. We don't come from the stars. They come from us. We have everything inside of the sun, moon, and stars composed in our bodies. We're made of the cosmos. You understand me? The sun doesn't have willpower. The moon can't produce. You understand me? The stars don't do that. Human beings do, right? And we've forgotten our place in this cosmic existence. And I think that we should have something that represents who we are and connects us back to our essence, you understand me, as human beings, as cosmic entities. And I think that the Crownz society is doing a great job at that. And it's not just these crowns, the ones that you wear in your head, but be a full style embodiment, right? Whether it's ready to wear for men's and women, whether it's sashes, whether it's silk scarves, right? And everything else. But it's kind of like looking at hip hop and saying that there's too much negative music. Where's the beautiful music, right? And in a world where fashion is represented by, or fashion is a representation of the ideas of the designer, right? Who are designing the beautiful music for the conscious minds in the world? You understand me? And I happen to be curating that frequency with Crownz Society. So we decided to do an NFT collection. I'm big in the space of NFTs. I'm a heavy teacher. I believe in interacting with technology so that we can utilize it and we can have a self-reparated process where we're not waiting for anybody to do for us, but we're utilizing the resources around us to do for self. And so I look at NFTs as another resource where we can tap in and use it as an existential process to where we can have, we can build wealth, right? Like NFTs is a non-fungible token and our crowns are not fungible. You understand me? The way I speak is not fungible. It's not exchangeable for anything else. So I think NFTs just made sense. And it allows us to build out this global community, and we can track those that's a part of this community with proof of transaction on a blockchain, right? So all of the Crownz Society members are now becoming society members, literally, of this Crownz Society, saying that I'm one of those ones that want to represent myself, and I have proof. History being made. You understand me? That in time, these people were a part of that Crownz Society. Imagine if we can go back and we can say, we can tell which one of our ancestors were part of the Moor Society, right? We can tell which one of our ancestors were the chieftain in Native American, or we can tell which one of our ancestors were the chiefman in Ghana, right? Or Nigeria or somewhere, right? We don't have a blockchain that represents our record. So I think that even the beautiful idea of the blockchain, specifically people who've lost their history, is that we now get to build up actions of our history that record who we are at this time. And as long as there's internet or there's electricity, we have these records as proof of transaction, right? That there's a beautiful opportunity there for us to utilize blockchain technology and use it as an extension to build our culture. I want you to get a crown because you're revolutionary, that you love the ideas that it represents. And those are the people that really jump in now. And I have proof, right? They tapped in at a certain point in time before it became just this popular machine that's behind it to say, yo, get a crown because it's the standard. You understand me? People ask me all the time, like, do I got to be a Muslim to get it, right? And I think it's an unfair question only because we buy things from people with all religions, faith, and backgrounds without ever questioning whether we need to be a part of their religion, right? To support their movement, right? So I don't know who owns Balenciaga and Gucci and Louis and all of these, you know, bourgeois brands, But I never think that I have to associate my religion with them because I'm supporting them. And I only say that as a sidebar because oftentimes, you understand me, we get niched into these corners as if this is not for us, even though I'm a part of your culture, you're a part of mine, right? As long as we have good values, we follow the golden rule of treating people how they want to be treated, then I think that, you know, we should be able to adapt, right, the cultural designs of each other and collaborate in those designs, right? Because I think that those are what connects us because they connect our principles together. And if we represent the principles, you understand me, then we can build out a repetitive culture. And so, you know, everything has to be stated as I'm saying it now. It can't just be, glossed over, right? I think everything has to be understood rather. If you're going to jump into Crown Society, you're saying that I represent rulership, I represent power, I represent consciousness, I represent knowledge of self. I know who I am. I'm walking around knowing who I am, right? And I want to communicate to other people who know who they are. You understand me? And we can now tap in and exchange. I've started off with the EMF crowns, the electromagnetic frequency crowns. And, we put those in there because as much as I advocate for technology, I also advocate for, safety. You understand me? And not getting so stuck into these worlds that we lose ourselves because knowledge itself is the key principle here, right? So we put the electromagnetic frequency protectors in there because the technology is emitting radiation at a higher level than it is being lawful. So why not have technology that communicates a problem but creates a solution at the same time? So at the moment you hear EMF, why would I need EMF? Oh, there must be a problem. Problem now taken care of. I put on this crown. It elevates my level of awareness and my thoughtfulness to protecting myself, right, in a world that is becoming super technological. So we put the EMFs in there. We have the cotton crowns. We have the different fabric crowns. So we use silks. We use suede. We use velvet. And now we've elevated to where we even have marble crowns, wooden crowns, and now we have NFT crowns. And we have a couple other projects where we really want to take it to where it's like a cerebral level. If you ever watch Professor Xavier or X-Men, I got some stuff in the works. Real high level. We got the AR crowns, the augmented reality. You can go on Instagram right now and try a crown on, right? And so I think that it was important to just transcend all these different dimensions and all these different mediums. Number one, to show that we can do it because luxury and consciousness should go together, right? Because luxury and consciousness is our higher level of thinking, right? And luxury is that higher level of life, is that a higher aesthetic of life. So when I think of consciousness, I think of it in a luxury capacity, and not luxury that we should treat it as a luxury, that where most people have consciousness but they don't use it. They treat it as a leisure and a luxury, but more so that we look at the quality and the value and the aesthetic of it as luxury. Like that's the highest level of living, and it's aspirational. That's the beauty of it. It's aspirational, right? So Crown Society luxury is a necessity in the aesthetic of how we push evolution and we push people in culture. So those who are part of Crown Society, you buy the NFT on Rarible as far as the first one, right? You become a part of the project and you get benefits of ownership. And benefits of ownership is just saying that now that you are a citizen of Crown Society, we have custom releases. We may throw events, speaking engagements. We may have content that's just available for Crown Society members that they only have access to, and a multitude of other different things, collaborations, airdrops, and all sort of different things as we build this out, right? And I don't want to overpromise, right? I'd rather organically build this thing as the greater ideas come, right? Because ideas are a force. And once I get an idea, I have to act upon that force, right? And I want people that associate themselves and believe in the vision of not only myself and what I've been teaching over these years, as much as I give, right? There's reciprocity in that. But also just believe in the idea that we should represent ourselves at higher standards and higher levels of design, right? So when you get your crown, some of them are redeemable for physical crowns, some of them are redeemable as event tickets, some of them are redeemable for just being a part of Crown Society as a whole, as a transaction on a record of the blockchain saying that you are one of those who are tapped into the Crown Society, right? Make sure you download the Telegram. We're going to have a Discord that's only for Crown Society members. You get access to special education about blockchain, block world order, and a multitude of other different things. And it's going to give you levels of access as I do collaborations with other brands that you will have exclusivity to as well. This Crown Society member is really for the gods. You understand me? And if you believe that's who you are, tap in and go mint your crown. You understand me? And unlock the benefits of being a citizen. Appreciate you. I'm 19 Keys. Make sure you mint your crown today on Rarible and become part of the Crown Society as the members who unlock the benefits of being tapped into the Crown Society. Peace.